What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Samsung Galaxy S4 Original to the Samsung Galaxy S4 Zoom. Now the Zoom has just been announced today, and Samsung on a bit of a roll recently. I mean, they've been announcing a new device every week. 3 weeks in a row you had the S4 Mini, the S4 Active, and now you've got the S4 Zoom. Now the S4 Zoom is sort of a hybrid between a compact point and shoot camera and a smartphone, so they've sort of combined those two into one, so it's really interesting. And most people these days do use their smartphone as their primary camera, and although the quality on a lot of smartphones is very good, the S4 is a perfect example. Very good quality images. They are not perfect. You're so lacking some of the features such as zoom, low light performance, and also a decent flash. So now that we've got the S4 Zoom that looks at all those areas, how different is it to the S4 Original? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head-to-head spec comparison. So let's start off with the size and dimensions. There is quite a significant difference between these two. The S4 Zoom, 11.1mm smaller in height and 6.3mm smaller in width. So on the front of it, it actually looks quite similar and doesn't look too big. It's quite small in terms of the height and width, similar to the S4 Mini. However, the difference is in the depth. It's 7.5mm thicker than the S4 Original. Now that's because you've got the lens and the grip on there. Yes, it's not a block at the back, as you'll see. It's got the lens and the grip which come out that much more, but it is definitely quite a bit larger in terms of the thickness, and also in terms of the weight. The S4 Zoom, 208 grams, so it's about 78 grams heavier than the S4 Original. So just that may be a deciding factor for many, because you do not have necessarily a compact device with the S4 Zoom. Now looking at the screen sizes of both of these, the S4 Zoom has a smaller screen, 4.3 inches. Again, it's the same as the S4 Mini. The S4 Original has that 5-inch full HD display. So resolution wise, the S4 Original does have 1080p resolution, 441 ppi. The S4 Zoom has 960 by 540, and that's a 256 ppi, so significantly lower ppi on the S4 Zoom. I would have hoped for a 720p display, which would have made this a really nice, but they have opted for a low resolution as with the S4 Mini. And in terms of the pixel density difference, the S4 Original is definitely going to look much better. You're gonna have much sharper images and crisp text. Videos 1080p pixel for pixel are going to look much better on the S4 Original. Now build and design both have the polycarbonate plastic, although the S4 Original, you've got a few different options right now. You've got the white frost, the black mist, as well as the red version, AT&T only. The S4 Zoom, they're currently just saying the white version. Now there is some differences clearly, as you can see. There's the lens as well as the grip that you've got on the device, but you've also got other changes such as the dedicated shutter button. So now this is going to be used for the camera. You've also got a tripod mount at the bottom as well, so if you do want to keep the device on a tripod steady for some different creative shots, you've got that option there. Now processor, the S4 has two versions. You've got the 1.9 GHz quad-core processor or the Exynos 5 octa processor as well, so there's two different options here. The S4 Zoom, you've only got the dual-core 1.5 GHz version, so the S4 Original, again, processor-wise, it is going to be much faster, and it's going to be really good at those more high-intensive tasks. RAM, the S4 2GB of RAM, the S4 Zoom 1.5GB of RAM, so not a huge little difference here, but the RAM is going to be great for multitasking, running more applications together at the same time. It's going to be really great for. Now in terms of the internal memory, the S4 Original, you've got 16, 32 and 64GB versions. The S4 Zoom, currently just the 8GB version. They've not said anything about any other versions right now, so we are just seeing the 8GB version right now. Now one thing to bear in mind is with Samsung devices recently, the internal memory, for instance on the S4 Original, out of the 16GB, you've only got roughly about 9GB of usable storage. Now on the S4 Zoom, they're saying it's going to be roughly about 5GB of available storage out of the 8GB, which may be pretty low for somebody who's, wants lots of apps installed on the device. Now both of these do have expandable storage up to 64GB, which is really great. And for the S4 Zoom, especially for your images, having those straight onto the micro SD card will be great. Now there has been rumors about Samsung adding functionality to transfer apps onto SD card, but there's nothing confirmed as yet. So if you are somebody who's gonna be installing lots of apps on the phone itself, then that might be a bit of a problem on the S4 Zoom, considering that you've only got the 8GB version. Now looking at the cameras, now this is obviously going to be a significant difference. On the megapixels, it might not seem as much because the S4 has the 13 megapixel camera, the S4 zoom 16 megapixel camera. Now the important thing here is the difference in sensor size. The S4 zoom does have a larger sensor. Now this is a similar size to a lot of the compact cameras that you get out there, such as the Nikon Coolpix. So you are going to get better low light performance generally. You're going to have better quality images because of that larger sensor. The S4 zoom also has 10 times optical zoom, so it's got from 24mm wide up to 240mm using that optical zoom. So it's not using digital zoom. Digital zoom is rubbish. I personally never use digital zoom, but optical zoom, it's going to really bring you in closer to those subjects. Now you also have an expert mode on the S4 zoom. This is going to let you control aperture, shutter speed, ISO, etc. So for those photography enthusiasts, it's going to be absolutely great. You're really going to be able to play around with those settings right out of the box. The S4 zoom also has a Xenon flash, so again you're going to have that more professional looking flash. It's not going to be the standard LED flash that you get from mobile phones, so it's going to be a better fill flash on there as well. And in terms of the features, you've got sound in shot, drama shot. A few of these features have come on. Dual shot on the S4 original is simultaneous, so you can be taking a picture using both cameras at the same time. With the S4 zoom, you have to take them separately, so you can do a dual shot, but you have to take them one at a time. So that's another thing to bear in mind in the dual shot. Now video wise, the S4 zoom and the S4 original both can film at 1080p. Front facing cameras, quite similar by the looks of it, 2 megapixels for the S4 original and the S4 zoom 1.9 megapixels. Now the S4 original does have a 1080p recording from the front facing camera. They've not mentioned specifically what the resolution of recording will be from the front facing camera of the S4 zoom. I would assume it'd be at least 720p, hopefully 1080p, but right now they have not confirmed that. Operating system, both are running Android Jelly Bean 4.2.2 with the TouchWiz UI. Now let's look at some of the features. You have got lots of the features from the S4 original to the S4 zoom, such as S Translator, S Voice and Group Play. So those will be on the S4 zoom, as well as an IR blaster. You've got an IR blaster on the S4 zoom. It's going to be really good to control something like a projector or something, or your TV, where you are getting the images transferred over from the S4 zoom onto a device. That's going to be really interesting and a very useful feature. Now in terms of the funky features, shall we say, on the S4 original, air view, air gestures, smart scroll and smart pause, these are not on the S4 zoom. Now I know there was a bit of confusion and no confirmation as such in terms of the S4 mini whether it'll have air gestures and air view. A few websites were saying it does with screenshots, and a few were saying that it does not have. So that's still needs to be confirmed, hopefully next week. But the S4 zoom, looking at the toggles, it does not have any of these options on there. So unfortunately, you are not going to be getting some of those features that are on the S4 original. In terms of the batteries, the S4 original 2600 mAh battery, the S4 zoom 2330 mAh battery. Now both of these are removable. The S4 original has a larger battery, however it does have a larger screen and a high resolution. So generally speaking, I'd expect it to take up a little bit more juice than the S4 zoom. If you are taking lots and lots of pictures though on the S4 zoom, then the battery may be a little bit of an issue, but as I said, it is removable, so you can carry around a spare on either one of these, which is a great option. In terms of price, the S4 original is currently going for around £500 to £550 here in the UK, or between $600 to $650 in the US. The S4 zoom, they've not confirmed prices as yet. I would expect it to be between the prices of the S4 mini and the S4 original, so around about the £350 to £400 mark in the UK, or around $450 to $500 in the US. So that would keep it between the S4 mini and the S4 original price, roughly around there. Again, this will be confirmed soon with the release date in summer. If you look out in the annotations, I will be updating this information, so do look out for that. So those were the key differences between these two devices. It looks like Samsung are really trying to aim for that market who find the camera very important and don't mind compromising on the size of the device and the drop in features as well for this device here. Now it may appeal to some, especially the photography enthusiasts out there. You don't have to carry around a compact camera and a smartphone. You can have that all in one, but that bulk may be an off-putting element for some there as well. What do you think? Would you go for one, you know, would you buy the S4 Zoom, or do you think the S4 original is something that you'd like to stick to? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.